So this year at SalonQP I've been invited along by Philips, the auctioneers, to showcase my new range of wristwatches. And this is a range of wristwatches that I've been working on now for about 4 years. So this range of watches has come about after making the Series 2 for many years. I was looking at improving the escapement, the coaxial escapement, improving the functionality of it, and I redesigned the escapement by reducing the scale of the escape wheel, and that caused me to have to redesign the Series 2 completely. And it was whilst I was working on the redesign of the Series 2 movement that I looked through my back catalogue of work and realised that I could probably create a range of watches out of all of these ideas that I've been working on for the past sort of 15 years. So that was a basis for this new range of watches. This new Series 1, well, this is a version made in 18 karat yellow gold. It's a time-only piece, and this really came about after making the Great Britain watch, which is now touring the world with a great campaign, and people like the simplicity of that particular watch. And so this really is in response to that, just to create a very elegant, time-only wristwatch. The first Series 1 was created in 2001. Now that was a rectangular case watch, but that was my first attempt at designing and making a wristwatch. It's a very difficult process. And I was reliant on bringing certain components in from Switzerland to help me make that series of watches. But really, since 2006 onwards, I've been making pretty much everything in-house. And that style has developed since then, and is a foundation of what we do today. The Series 2, I conceived the idea in 2004, and we delivered the first piece in 2006. And to date, we've only made, I think, about 70 pieces. Series 2 is its usual minutes, hours and seconds, and then we have a power reserve dial here, which is really, in effect, like a petrol gauge. And it tells you whether the watch is wound or unwound. And it's just a nice reminder to tell you to wind the watch. Series 2 has developed since the very first delivery of the first piece in 2006. And it's been a gradual improvement in my techniques, my design and so on. But the main difference now is a completely new movement surrounding this escapement, the coaxial escapement. The case design has changed, and it's just a gradual, it's a new phase. It's a new phase of my career, I suppose. So this Series 3 is, again, a completely new watch and a new mechanism to power it. And we have a retrograde date mechanism here. And this retrograde date mechanism, I've now fitted it into, Series 1s. The original Series 1s had that complication. And I've created two unique pieces, which are one-offs, using the same complication. And it's just a fascinating complication to me. And I've developed the mechanism over the years, and I thought it'd be great to be able to use this in one of my standard type watches. Well, standard means virtually a handmade watch. I mean, to create this watch will take approximately 12 months, and that's creating all the components from the raw material right through to the finished piece that we have here. So it's all about focusing on quality, craftsmanship, and focusing on detail. It'll take about 3 weeks to create this dial. It's all about doing everything by hand and just to the very highest level. So the Series 4 is, yes, it's the end of the range at the moment as it stands. This piece has probably taken about 4 years to get to this point. 4 years of trying different ideas, thoughts, things that did work, things that didn't work. And I'm now at the stage where this prototype has been built. The mechanism has also been fully developed and is ready to create the first pieces. But this is quite a complicated piece. It's what's called a triple calendar complication. It's an instantaneous function, which means that all the date mechanisms, so the day, the date and the month, will all jump over instantaneously. And what I tried to do with this watch is to free up the information on the dial. So traditionally what you tend to have is you'd have a hand radiating from the centre out to the calendar dial, the date dial on the outside, sorry. And The great problem with that is it hides key pieces of information for several days at a time. And a dial has always got to be legible, always got to be readable. So I created this travelling window which will move around the periphery of the dial, and hopefully it just clears up the functions of the dial. Yes, well, this sort of new phase that I'm talking about is, as I say, is 10 years since the delivery of the first Series 2. We've learned an incredible amount in that period, and over those years I've built up a superb team, just an incredibly talented team of watchmakers. And we've all matured, and I think this range of watches is hopefully a good representation of that. And it shows us where we are now, today, and where we want to be in the future. There will be pieces added to this range in the coming years. We'll always keep very small numbers. At the moment we make just 10 pieces a year, but it's all about an attention to detail and just trying to do everything to the very, very highest level. The waiting list at the moment is it's about 3 years. It's about 3 years, yeah. But we're always endeavouring to bring that down, and that's, it's a constant challenge. They'll need to speak to contact us and put a deposit on the waiting list. Well, the design style has developed just very, very subtly, I think. I mean, the great influence is British watchmaking. We were leading the world 200 years ago, and there's been, I suppose this is my interpretation, that had that industry continued at the very highest level, this is what it would be creating today. So it's heavily influenced by that. It's also heavily influenced by George and my approach to designing movements and cases and dials and so on. So it's a gradual sort of development. All I've ever thought about since the age of 17 is creating watches like this. When you spend so many years learning how to make watches by hand, you can't just let that go. The idea where I design, create, a wristwatch, it's all I've ever done, it's all I know, and it's a part of me. And yes, George lives on throughout our work, and I hope we've taken it on very slightly from where he left off.